Yesterday, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the US Congress as he continued to make the case for Israel's war in Gaza, despite global concerns for the Palestinian population. What did you make of his speech?
Well, I did not really make much of it at all because Benjamin Netanyahu never surprises anyone. This was a red meat speech designed for his audience at home, a country deeply divided, and millions of Israelis want him to go today, not tomorrow. He's playing for time. It was a manipulative speech. The most I think, important point in the speech, two words: total victory. The fact is, he does not really want to end the war in Gaza. He does not really believe in any Palestinian authority in Gaza. He never mentioned anything about a Palestinian state. He criminalized protesters, not just in the United States and the world. We're all protesters who protest the bloodletting in Gaza are being paid an agent of Iran. Iran is the enemy. Israel is defending the United States in the Middle East, not the other way around. It's the barbarian versus civilization. Israel is civilization, light, good versus evil, the Palestinians, obviously. What do I tell you? I mean, I think on a personal level, it was a very, very painful speech to watch. Not because it was manipulative and full of falsehood, because it reminded me that myself as a scholar of the Middle East and the United States, it reminded me of the parliament under Saddam Hussein. This was the US Congress, the home of the American people. 50 standing ovation. The speech as Bernie Sanders, a US senator from Vermont and a former presidential candidate, he said, it's the first time in American history where a war criminal was given the honor to basically address the home of the American people.
It was quite extraordinary looking at the aftermath of the speech. He was surrounded by the likes of people like Ted Cruz going up to shake his hand. Another congresswoman, I'm not sure who she was, organized for a photographer to come up so she can get a two-shot of herself and Benjamin Netanyahu. It was sycophantic in the extreme, and I wondered how come such a huge number of American parliamentarians can go along with what Israel is doing in Gaza. It's just baffling.
I mean, it really is baffling. I mean, I really, I keep saying it was very painful to watch, not Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu had basically an audience in mind, had a message. But it was terribly, I mean, dishonorable of congressmen who basically should know better. I mean, the applause, the screaming, the shouting, the standing ovations, and knowing full well that he is an alleged war criminal. And it tells you a great deal about the polarization in the United States. Almost 100 congressmen, Democrats, did not attend, including the Harris, who is now supposedly will be the Democratic presidential candidate.
Now, whether that was a deliberate snub or not, it was a convenience because she had another engagement where she was addressing. She's on the campaign trail, but she will meet him before the end of the week.
Today, she and Biden will be meeting Benjamin Netanyahu. And I think what Harris was trying to do is to really balance basically her position, because her base, as you know, is center-left. And his base is very critical of Benjamin Netanyahu in particular. And at the same time reiterates her support for the United States, because it doesn't matter who's the president. You have a political system. I mean, you've seen it. As one congressman, Ruskin, a very popular Democratic congressman, he said, Benjamin Netanyahu's speech should have been given in the Republican National Convention. This was really red meat, pure red meat for the Republicans.
Now, he also told barefaced lies, or that is how the commentariat are viewing it. He said, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. This is utter complete nonsense. It's a complete fabrication. Israel has enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. That's 500,000 tons of food. He's saying, no problem. The population are doing fine. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, I think I said, I mean, where do you spot, how do you deconstruct the speech? How do you really basically vet the speech? We know what the United Nations, multiple officials of the United Nations have made it very clear that Israel has used starvation as a weapon of war. Multiple United Nations officials have made it very clear that famine now is in many parts of Gaza. Multiple United Nations officials have made it very clear that Israel not only not allowing food and goods to enter Gaza, but basically hampering the entry of food and goods into Gaza. I mean, and also I think what we need to understand, he really zeroed in on the International Criminal Court and the likelihood of a arrest warrant for Netanyahu, because he's terrified. And he says, today is me and then you, pointing, to the Republicans, the United States next. So in a way, I mean, also using biblical lies in order to justify Israeli colonialism of Palestinian lands. Again, the reason why this is really for the Republican audience, because it addresses their ideological connections and links with Benjamin Netanyahu and the right-wing elements in Israel. And I think you cannot really understand the invitation to Benjamin Netanyahu by the Republican leadership of the US Congress, except by what you have the evangelical power center in the United States is very, very important. And this is really why the red meat nature Benjamin Netanyahu's speech.
I was reading a piece from a correspondent on CNN overnight who's referring to a meeting, the first meeting between President Bill Clinton and Netanyahu in 1996. And he told his aides, who's the effing superpower here? In other words, the attitude of Netanyahu was so superior to the American president. And that came across really strongly, that this man is incredibly arrogant and incredibly ostensibly secure in his own rectitude.
I mean, look at him, you look at him last night, the way he was talking, the arrogance, the lies, this kind of really know-it-all. Benjamin Netanyahu has been cited multiple times, secretly. He says, we know the American political system, don't worry. We know how to basically manipulate the system. Don't worry about America, we know America. Point one. Benjamin Netanyahu, Pat, he humiliated President Barack Obama twice in the Oval Office, publicly in front of the American people, twice. And yet Barack Obama did not dare to respond to him on public television in the Oval Office while Benjamin Netanyahu lectured the American president. And guess what, Pat? When Barack Obama left the White House, he signed one of the biggest military aid package to Israel, $35 billion over 15 years. What does it tell you? I mean, to me, as an American, when I look at the Congress, the home of the American people, they're dishonoring, the Congress dishonored millions of Americans by bringing an alleged war criminal to address the US Congress. And I don't think they care. They really don't care. It tells you a great deal what's happening. And this is more about America than Benjamin Netanyahu, and how the political class has become deaf and blind to the reality all we're talking about. They just don't care. They don't listen. They don't really, it doesn't matter. They'll do what they want to do.